Arriving at Mercury, there's a list of natural wonders to see, and even a dazzling light show.
And liftoff.
These images are the clearest to date of Mercury. And it's not hard to spot a crater of epic proportions, the result of yet another titanic collision.
That's the Caloris Basin, this impact basin. It covers almost 3 million square kilometers. It's one of the biggest in the solar system.
The size of Alaska and California combined, whatever created Caloris almost destroyed the planet.
It was, something in the order of 100 kilometers in size. It could have been a huge comet, or it could have been a very large asteroid. It had a catastrophic effect on the surface.
Shock waves rippled around the crust, buckling it on the opposite side. And near the center of the crater is another spectacular geological puzzle that has experts scratching their heads.
The spider is this really strange feature that's in almost the center of the Caloris Basin.
Oh, the spider, it really annoys me when I hear people call it, because it doesn't look like a spider. How many legs does a spider have? 8, right?
It looks kind of like a 100-legged spider, but it has all of these radiating cracks coming out of it.
Whether the spider is the result of planetary stretch marks or some obscure cratering process, no one knows.
It's a fascinating feature. We don't know how it formed. It's very tantalizing.
Mercury shines as a graveyard of past cosmic battles. But is it as dead as it seems? A wise traveler would tread with caution.
When we're looking at the surface, there's all these craters, and they're pretty much the same structure, They have a raised rim, circular, and so when we see a crater that looks like this one here, it doesn't have a raised rim, it's irregularly shaped. That's always exciting because those are volcanic vents. And so this is the site of a explosive volcanism that's happened. It wasn't just, lava flowing out, it was these fire fountaining events too.
We settled a 30-year-old debate about the geological evolution of the planet, stemming from a question that Mariner 10 raised but didn't answer, and that is how important volcanism has been on the history of that planet.
So, for a planet that appears inactive, more has been going on deep inside Mercury than we ever gave it credit for. There's even more occurring above the surface that can't be seen. And it involves the relentless force of the sun. Like Mercury, the Earth takes a beating from the sun's violent temper. Flares, sunstorms, and other solar hissy fits can cause electronic mayhem for the satellites that roam above our heads. Fortunately, the Earth is protected from this radiation by a magnetic shield, a kind of force field generated by our molten iron core.
Planetary magnetic fields shield planets, their surfaces, and their atmospheres from charged particles that are always coming off of the sun.
The auroras that light up our polar skies are evidence of our protective shield. Without it, life would not exist here. Visit Mercury, and you'll be visiting the only other planet in the inner solar system with a magnetic field. But its very existence defies explanation.
Now, the mystery there is that in order to have a magnetic field, you need to have an interior to the planet that is at least partially molten. Mercury, one of the smallest of the planets, would have been expected to really have frozen all the way through. And yet we have a relatively strong, very well-defined magnetic field that appears to have a source that's located deep in the planet.
Whatever mechanism is driving Mercury's magnetic field, it's too weak to protect it from the full force of the sun. The solar wind buffets Mercury's thin atmosphere, and in the process, it puts on a light show.
The reason you'd want to go to Mercury as a travel destination would be this night side view, because it's going to be highly unique in the solar system. You have sodium atoms that are streaming off and giving off this yellow light, so you could almost look as like you're standing in a donut of sodium emission.
With the sunrise 3 months away, you'll have plenty of time to sit back and take in the view, framed in a halo of amber light.
In some sense, you could get a very nice light show, and I know people go to Canada to look at the northern lights all the time, and so that would be a reason to go to Mercury.
T-minus 40 seconds, everything looks good for launch.
Not a night owl? Then head into the light. But when you're this close to a stellar rotisserie, make sure you pack plenty of sunscreen.
Touchdown, we have touchdown.
If you want a suntan, you can't beat the dusty sands of Mercury. Stretch out on the ground here, and the sun crackles and fizzes right above you, appearing almost 3 times bigger in the sky and 7 times as hot.
If you were walking on the surface of Mercury, you would need one heck of a spacesuit, because if you were in the sun, it would be extremely hot. You would see an enormous sun in the sky that would just, burn you to death if you, spent any time in it whatsoever.
The Mercury really climbs on Mercury to a toasty 840 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about twice as hot as your kitchen oven on full heat.
At such high temperatures, you have a situation where you may literally have pools of some liquid metals, and you certainly wouldn't want to step on them.
You'll need a bit more than SPF 30 sunscreen here. To escape the heat, you can always head to the dark side, but dress warmly. With virtually no atmosphere to keep the heat in, the temperature plummets to minus 275 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's here in the freezer that Messenger will encounter another puzzle. Can ice exist on a planet so close to the sun?
It was only when the first radar observations of the surface of Mercury were obtained, back in the 90s, that it was discovered that Mercury, in fact, had what appeared to be polar caps in these first radar images.
Some corners of Mercury's polar craters are in permanent shadow. Here, on the most sun-baked planet of all, water seems to survive frozen in eternal darkness.
The ice is contained in places where literally the sun never shines. And so the ice is sequestered in these dark interiors of craters at the high latitude regions.
We found the same thing on our moon. In late 2009, the L-Cross mission crashed a probe into a deeply shadowed crater, confirming ice hidden near the lunar South Pole. Where did it come from? A comet?
It's very interesting because we believe that the water in the Earth in its atmosphere, in the oceans, and even below the surface probably came from a similar source. And so part of the mystery of Mercury is to try to find out where the water came from, and maybe that might help us find out where the water on Earth came from.
It may never be possible to send a human to Mercury.
Oh man, that's incredible.
But how about a robot? In 2011, when Messenger arrives in orbit, imagine this tough little spacecraft circling a lonely planet a very long way from home. Move away from the sun, and you'd expect things to cool down a little. Venus, the picture of coolness and calm. All pale, beguiling, and cloaked by clouds. But the planet of love is shrouded in mystery. Drop beneath her treacherous veil at your own risk.
T-minus 40 seconds, everything looks good for launch.
Planning a vacation to Venus? Nothing is as it should be here on our twisted alien twin.
He's controlling?
4.5 billion years ago, Venus and Earth started out as planetary twins.
They were formed right next to each other. They're very close to each other in the solar system. They have similar sizes.
Not only that, we now know that the planets were exchanging material early on, that bits of Earth were falling on Venus and bits of Venus were falling on Earth. So if life started on any of these worlds, it may well have spread among them through these little chips getting knocked off from all the impacts that were happening then, all the big collisions.
You are there on the most exciting, nerve-shattering journey in the history of man.
50 years ago, it was easy for us to imagine Venus, closer to the sun and wrapped in clouds, to be our scorched, tropical sister swarming with life.
There was this picture of Venus as a kind of primitive, steamy Earth, complete with giant tree ferns and dinosaurs.
Altogether, it seemed to us that it should be just possibly even populated world.
In 1975, the camera on the redesigned Venera 9 finally penetrates the Venusian veil. But what it sees is nothing like the tropical paradise imagined. This is the first ever picture taken from the surface of another planet.
And at the first time, it was returned black and white panoramas of the Venus surface. This images was extremely important because at the first time, we, human beings, had a chance to see with our naked eyes completely different other world. We were very much proud of that.
Most of the Venera photos I don't remember seeing because this was the Cold War, it was the Soviet Union, and I guess the press or even American scientists just didn't pay attention. So it wasn't part of our consciousness in the 70s that the Soviets were doing this. Impressive stuff.
7 years later, Veneras 13 and 14 send back the first color postcards taken under Venusian skies.
It means that standing on the surface of Venus, you will meet absolutely incredible situation. First of all, we will see not the blue skies, you will see